we're going to use the bright star Arcturus in the constellation Boötes to find one of the most spectacular objects in our summer sky, the globular cluster Messier 13. So we're going to start by arcing to Arcturus. We take the arc of the handle of the Big Dipper and we find the bright star Arcturus, which is still dominating the early evening sky of spring, marking the tip of the tail of the constellation Boötes, which I've always thought has looked more like a large kite in the sky than anything else. Now, Boötes is an excellent transition constellation because we can use that to find some of the stars of the summer sky. So right next to Boötes, on clear, dark skies, you'll be able to see a little semicircle of dim stars, which is the constellation Corona Borealis, or the Northern Crown. And then just next to Corona Borealis, we have a much larger constellation known as Hercules. So these three constellations, Boötes, Corona Borealis, and Hercules, are what we're going to be focusing on today, and in particular on the constellation Hercules, where we can find Messier, or M13. So in Hercules, the portion of the constellation that we're really going to be paying attention to is known as the Keystone. It's this quadrilateral of stars, called the Keystone because it passes in the summer months directly overhead in our sky, which means it's going to make it easier to find the object that we're looking for. So if you're looking in the Keystone, you're going to be looking for this north-south line joining the two stars of Eta and Zeta Hercules. And along the line between those, you can see an object that looks fairly like a dim star. On clear, dark skies, you should have no trouble spotting, again, what looks like a dim star in the Keystone of Hercules. But if you zoom in on that star, even if you just have a pair of binoculars, and you look at what looks to be that faint star, you'll notice that it's actually has a sort of a fuzziness to it. It's not exactly a star. And if you're able to examine it through a telescope, even a fairly small telescope, you'll see that it's actually a cluster of hundreds of stars. This is Messier 13, the Hercules cluster, and it's an example of a globular cluster. Globular clusters are gravitationally bound collections of hundreds of thousands to millions of stars. And Messier 13 is one of the best examples of this in our sky. Very bright, very visible in the summer sky. Something like 500,000 stars together in Messier 13. Messier 13 is about 25,000 light years away. So if we were actually to take a look at this constellation, if we were to travel to this globular cluster, we would actually be moving through most of the stars of our own galaxy, out beyond the plane of our galaxy to where this globular cluster, like many other globular clusters, orbits in the halo of our own galaxy.